I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Present.
We'll get that in a second. Okay. It is the Common Council of the City of Bicknell. It is Tuesday, July the 8th, 2025, 6:30. I'll call the roll. Tim, Wally, Rod,
Yes.
Butch,
Yep.
John.
Here.
Let the record show that Councilman Miller is absent, but quorum is present to conduct business. Pursuant to the new state law that's in effect regarding recordings of meetings, you'll see that we are live and in person up there. And I have to read the following. This meeting is being recorded, and participation in the meeting was attendees' consent to be recorded and included in the rebroadcast of the recorded meeting on the city's YouTube channel. The record shows, do I have to read that for every meeting? All right. That's my new list of stuff I have to do. All right. Review and approval of previous month's minutes from Wednesday, June the 18th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Roz, or second?
Yes.
By Johnny. Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. One other thing of note on your agenda, on the back, also in accordance with statute, any of the boards that we have agendas for, we have to put who's sitting up, who the elected officials are, and if they have appointments to other boards and so forth. It is same things on the Board of Works agenda for them, so if you see that moving forward, that's why that's there. All right, clerk treasurer's report.
Bank recs are on the table. Fund appropriation reports are in your packet. You will notice on your fund report, you have a before bills and after bills fund. Just Thomas was asking some questions about the reflection of that after we did bills today, just because there's some things that will be going on later on in the meeting. So I just did both of them for you so you had it. Then also you'll find in there a Trex paper that I kind of did a breakdown of what we've collected so far with Trex. Utilities total, we've collected $4,872.48. The breakdown of that is water was $4,625.02, wastewater was $443.46, and stormwater was $174. The reason why you see the biggest difference on those is because most of the time those properties are by landowners, so that we always get the wastewater and stormwater collected from them. So those were lower numbers on that. The court, this is just for ordinance violations, no other. It's $2,016.72, and then what's gone into tip is $354.55, and that's from where our city employees have gone and done the work on these ordinances for part of the cleanup on that.
We have collected on some of that?
Yep, that's what we have actually collected right now. There's still some more that's coming in. It's slowed down a lot since before, but there might be a few more amounts we get before they stop it in October, I believe, is when they quit for the year. But then we'll start it back up next year when tax season starts back up. So
Do they voluntarily come up and pay that, or is that something that the court?
We have had some people come up when they get their notices from Trex or the IRS saying, hey, the city of Bicknell's withholding. We've had a few phone calls where they're like, what's this about? And we're like, oh, it's an old water bill. Well, I don't know how long, which they have come up and paid it. There have been some people that have complained about it. And I said, yes, it seems like it's been a long time since you've had this bill, but this is a means for us to be able to go after it now. So, but yeah, so yeah, that doesn't reflect the number of people that have come and paid outside of what we collected off the Trex since they got their notifications. So,
And we've used the Trex program on a few folks who have given us attitude on ordinance compliance, either on tickets or clean, we have to clean up the property, mow the grass, or whatever. We explained to some folks that, if they don't want to get with the program, well, I'm not going to pay it. We'll say, well, if you have a state tax return, we will be glad to collect that whenever the spring gets here. And that's motivated some folks to understand.
and one of our biggest people that had collected from, they thought they were gonna get away with this, and we've got a chunk of money from them so far, so.
So is this just state taxes you can
Yes,
go over?
only state taxes.
To to our knowledge.
You can have all mine, you can get.
Why, you gonna get any?
You don't get any, you have to pay,
No.
don't you?
No, I don't get anything.
Which we knew we weren't gonna get 100% of this, but, I mean, almost $5,000 into water is
Not bad.
pretty nice, so, I mean,
And something Amber and I have talked about, we haven't gotten into, and Commissioner sell properties we buy will affect this. We've talked about the demolition liens we have on assortments of properties. And we didn't put those in right away because kinda wanted to get their feet underneath them and get the utilities and stuff going.
just because utilities was a huge chunk of it, and I wanted to see how that went before I went with 5 other different things to pull into.
So we may, once we get the commissioner sale property sorted out, cause a bunch of those that I bought had our demolition liens on them, so those won't be collectible anymore. But I'll start to look at some of the ones that are still outstanding and figure out, hey, if I think we can collect on, we'll have her put that on there and see if we can't grab some of that money too, so.
Not only demolition, but we have
So
trash
they
and
still own the
liens also
property?
that we
Correct.
have. But we if I do put them on tracks, I have to take the liens off, so if they're trust or these companies that
Yellow
buy
sign
them,
people.
yeah, the yellow sign, we'll leave the liens on them, we won't pull them off, but.
Just for you guys, I told Thomas he needs to ask his law professor how we can stop these people from bidding on properties at the city. Because they have absolutely no intention of ever doing anything good with them. All they wanna do is screw somebody out of money.
Cause as I'll discuss here in a little bit, when we talk about the commissioner sale stuff, some of those folks, I went down and paid $18,000 at the sale, as I mentioned. Those guys probably cost us another 6 or 7, just because they've bought stuff they've never seen, or some lot next to somebody else. And of course, my position was very clear that, did I necessarily want it? No. But did I want these people to have it to try to extort the neighbors? No. So, and fortunately enough, in the case of this sale, it cost taxpayers some money. They didn't buy anything in Bicknell that we wanted.
Well, they cost me $800.
Yeah. So, getting a little bit more of that later, but, yes, I appreciate, Rod's sentiment on that. On the finance side, we also did receive yesterday our $70,000 check from, the redevelopment commission for the purchase and acquisition and demolition and cleanup of D&B, which this morning, the Board of Works approved the purchase agreement, for D&B, so this week I will get with the owner and get him a check, get him to sign a deed, and I will give Rod and the environmental outfit we've hired to take care of the tanks, give them the go. So we are,
Make sure they coordinate and make them, I don't know.
that's what I told him. I said, you'll need to call him and make sure that everybody's telling, because they gotta do a bunch of permits and,
The building and stuff's my problem, but I just gotta do what they say.
yeah. All right. Reports of department heads, go ahead, Wally.
I know, our normal question is, how are we doing? And I only see one that I'm just gonna, stands out a little bit. I always look to the left, and we're over 6 months through, correct? So
Correct.
we should be, just by my skimming through it, we should be at 50% or better on those things, right? And I noticed, just, I'm gonna say park insurance, which is page 6, and park electric, we're down pretty low on what we've got left. Now, I can see where insurance, if we paid up for the year, we're in good shape. But the electric bill, if we only got 31% left, pay the bill
Yeah,
for
it's
electric.
unfortunately, those are ones that we just kind of project to see what we're going to be, so we kind of try to budget on those, we're just gonna have to pull from other lines to pay for it.
But
towards
you
the
feel
end of the year.
comfortable that you can, and won't have to come back to us to
I can't tell you
ask for
that.
any money, huh?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
We might have to do some additionals, just to, not really ask for more money, just move it around from different line
Well,
items
that's-
to fix it.
Yeah, if we can do that, then I
Yes,
can see that.
that will probably be the way it will go about, there's not much time that we have to do it. We try to get numbers as accurate as possible,
Nice.
but you know, with the insurance and then,
Have we ever?
Insurance is established across all
Oh,
departments.
it's getting
It's not just park.
Yeah, okay, and then the other thing is, have you looked on the park, going on the equal payment, system for that, or can you do that?
I don't think you can with, like, kinda like a budget billing, is that what you're talking about?
Well, they've got equal payments, like for individuals, I don't know if any of you take.
I don't think they'll do that on ours.
Yeah.
But I
not
just
yet.
didn't know if they would do it for us or not.
Honestly, if you look at the individual electric bills and stuff for the park, it's not worth it. I mean, it's like
we're paying a flat amount for that lot.
I mean, we pay,
They
think about
they
this.
pay for the electricity.
Because per meter, just to have it on, it used to be $9.81, regardless of what you used. That may be more now. And we got rid of a few meters at the park and redid some of the electric to keep some of that now. I presume the winter is not as much simply because it's not on, but we still pay the minimum to have it on.
Yeah, but that's just on the meter itself. We're on a system where if you've got 40 dusted on lights, they charge you $6 per light.
I
think
thought
we-
they don't do meters.
So we have, now hang on,
Not-
so there's two different things here. So we have buildings and, concession stands, bathrooms, the stone shelter house, the main electric feed for the whole park, those are on meters because
Right.
they're buildings. Now, the lights that are out there on poles, those are on a per light basis, but I think it's on a separate billing. So we get, and I'm spitballing a little bit, but like, if you were to, we get like 25 different electric bills, and that's for the whole city, but like 8 or 9 of those are at the park, and those are by meter number, but there's a separate one for outdoor lighting.
Right.
So like there's a separate bill for all the street lights, there's a separate bill for the 14 lights that are here on Main Street, there's a separate bill for the ones at the park because the way they were set in and the agreements we signed to convert all of those.
And they're the same thing every month.
The, outdoor lights are.
Yes.
The outdoor lights are.
And that's the
yes.
ones I was thinking, of. So you can budget that.
The outdoor
rest of
lights
it
are
you can't.
fixed, it's the metered stuff that's in the front.
Yeah, mine goes up in the winter, cause they're on 6 hours a day long.
It depends on, if it goes through your meter, that's true. but
Yeah,
if it
ours
doesn't,
are, the outdoor
then it
lights,
doesn't.
wouldn't be, cause those are just a straight feed off of.
I pay for the street lights down there, so. Those street lights on that ain't paid for by the city.
Your house?
Cole Street, Maryland Street,
They should be.
I had those put in.
They should be on our tab. If they're,
Never have been.
if they're over the street.
It was dark out down there, so I said, put them in. I paid. $7, $8.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, you pay a flat rate. Okay,
Any other questions, Laura?
no, that was it. And you kinda said, okay, you kinda said, we're doing okay.
Let me think here. So I'll give you a couple of reports for some guys that aren't here. For water, Wabash is done. We're glad that they're done. We are waiting on, National Rural Water to process our loan from them, and once we have that, we get Wabash paid. So they're happy, we're happy, everybody's happy. On sewer, Willie wrote to me, spent a lot of time at the plant doing yard work and maintenance, helped the water department on all the lines that were struck during construction. Kearns grabbed a few down South Main. Placed a culvert on 12th Street, that's the dead end on the top past Johnny Jones up by Lift Station 2. Replaced it with 2 24-inch culverts to keep for drainage under the road. Watering flowers a few times a week, oh, he doesn't think it's helping, I think it's helping a little bit. UV system's working properly at the moment. UV on, which is UV contractor, is going to make a return trip to finish repairs. Everything else is happy and operating properly. I'll start with fire Mike on this one.
I don't have nothing. Everything's good.
No fires.
No fires.
Not here, out in the park department.
That's particularly helpful. Chief Grove.
That's good.
Well, I just have a couple things. I just wanted to inform the council that I've made it pretty well through the entire city with the voluntary compliance on inoperable vehicles. I've tried to touch base with everybody, talk to them in person, explain the ordinance to them. I mean, there's been a few maybe I've missed here and there just because I have to answer calls. But I mean, I made a very diligent effort to get to everybody, so they're informed. I've started, the enforcement process, which I'm done. I think I touched base with you a month or so ago about that. We have, gotten quite a bit of voluntary compliance. A lot of people have been very nice. They weren't aware of the ordinance. It was kind of a vehicle illegal or something they kind of put on the back burner and they weren't really concerned about it. And now, you know, kind of put a burr in their saddle, they're taking care of it. I've seen several of them move. Just like I told the mayor, now I have some of them that have made it abundantly clear they have no intention of complying with the ordinance. So, I've explained to them what the process will be. That's kind of where I'm at with that. The enforcement, like I said, is gonna be starting this week. I'm trying to do, obviously, some of the worst ones first, but, you know, it's like I told everybody when I started it, everybody will get a fair shake, and, you know, you will get your turn if you have these vehicles. The other thing that I kind of discussed with the mayor, he came up with a couple ideas, with the weeds and grass ordinance. We have a few people, mostly out of town, that kind of game the system. They know that I have to start the process over every time with the 10-day notice. And then, you know, have to give them, or have been giving them, you know, 3 or 4 days, because we have to go to the expense of sending out registered mail. And you got a couple of them that like, in my opinion, like to duck that registered mail and buy an extra week or whatever. And then when their time's up, then they'll come in and mow. So, I mean, you end up, you know how fast grass will grow, especially some of that Johnson grass. So the time they're under compliance, that grass may be 3 feet tall. And then they come in and mow it, and, you know, they know the entire process, and they know it starts over. And it, you know, it's the same ones. And I've talked to, you know, some of the city employees that have been around here a lot longer than I have, and I'm sure residents as well. It's the same properties every year. I mean, it's the same ones. And we were trying to come up with some solutions to where, once they've been given notice of their violation, that, you know, maybe they don't get as long the second time. Because, I mean, it just gets, you know, there's a couple of them that's really in particular that, you know, you go down here and their grass is that tall. And I said, they were given notice, you know, and it's kind of one of those things, oh yeah, I'm gonna mow it. And, you know, you try to give somebody, you know, the value of benefit of the doubt. And, you know, they bought an extra couple days before they got notice. And I said, you can drive around, you can see a couple, I know you guys have seen some of these problems. The mayor was gonna tweak maybe with the city attorney to kind of give me a little bit more enforcement. But I said, you know, we're talking a handful of individuals. And I think council probably knows who most of them are.
So,
And I said,
are most of them, renters?
They're owned, yeah, they're gonna be out of town. Some of them are vacant, but they're owned by real estate companies. You know, some of the companies own numerous properties. And until they get a notice, they won't mow. And, you know, it's just an eyesore. And it causes, you know, for the neighbors, vermin and whatnot. And then the one other property, that I was working on Miami, over in, well, it's Mine Street.
The utility locates came in for them to cut the gas.
I went there today. I don't know how many, of you are aware of that property. It's got a vacant house. I've been dealing with the owner. I went down there and I checked today. I seen flags. He said he's gonna get a utility locate, he's gonna bring in a crew and demolish that. It's unfit for human habitation anyway. Demolish it, clean all that junk up.
This would be, Wally, for your reference, this would be on the dead end of Miami Street behind where your brother used to live.
Is it a house there?
Yes.
And I know,
Yeah.
his,
About there. Yeah, it's up in the weeds. he's got 2 tickets sitting on his desk for the grass and trash. And I called the guy and I said, you sold some houses in Bicknell that have turned out real nice. I said, I really don't want to punch you in the face with these tickets, but I said, I can. He said, I got guys coming, they're gonna cut the utilities and clear the whole thing out, which is what needs to happen. And I saw a utility located today, so I'm trying to be diplomatic to a certain point. But, you know, what Tom talked about is
And that was my point too, I know some of the neighbors there, I wish they would've brought it to my attention sooner. And I tried to explain to them, I said, if you want it done right, give me a little time, I'll do it right. I said, you know, you rush in there and get a little grass cut, and this, that, and the other, and still have a bunch of junk in the yard, and a house is full of burn. Or I said, you know, give them, and most of the neighbors have been very understanding. And I said, I will get it done, and I said, I will get it removed.
Is it a house?
One way or
no,
another.
it's true.
Trailer.
Steve,
Wood Smalls lived there. It's behind where Dave Cullen lived years ago. It's on that dead end. If you would go up, down East 9th across Miami.
what's her brother's name?
I don't know. It's over by Earhart's.
Yeah.
It's Robert, in case somebody was in the picture.
Well, yeah, I knew it was, yeah, it's behind Robertson's house, yeah.
Well,
It's-
Don't get those two mixed up.
Earhart's the one that come to me about her trailer and said his sister lived there.
Yeah, that's my aunt, it was my aunt's house. Sherry, what's her name, everybody called her Babe. And her husband Steve.
You know, this was a Wood Small that I dealt with. I mean, this could,
She died when I was 7.
oh, so this probably predates that then, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's where it's at.
They moved them to O-Town, didn't they?
Correct. So I've talked to Tom a little bit, we were discussing some of his concerns about the ordinance stuff. There's a couple ideas that I have, and so, one thing that's already in the statute that exists, this applies in cases where we've given notice and we have had to enforce to pick up the trash or mow the grass. There's something that they call continuous enforcement orders. That applies in cases where, we've already had to do something. Those give us the position, and we've never used them, and I need to look up to see what one is. Essentially what it means is that after we enforce it once, we have the ability to enforce it continuously without notice for a certain period of time. I think it's a year. That will do some of that. The other idea that I have, the current ordinance says that once you get notice, you have 10 days to do something. The 10 days is the minimum amount of days that we can give somebody that's under state law, so we can't reduce that. We can make it between 10 and I think 60, I think. And we picked, but past that it was 10. Now, usually I try to do certified mail if I know I got an address. Now, as what Tom talked about, he is correct. We have folks who won't pick it up, and 14 days later, they're trying to duck me, and the neighbor goes, oh, you haven't loaded yet. And I say to them, I'm waiting on the mail to come back. Now, what I don't know, Counselor, if you can maybe clue me in here, we have the ability to post a notice in person at a property. We've done that in certain cases. Most of the time I use it when I know there's nobody on the other end of the mail. So I was curious to wonder if we could use that process to short circuit some of the delays of the mail and things like that, because it posted it conspicuously does still constitute notice. We've done it on.
Yeah, it's the first I've heard of it. I'd have to look at the ordinance again and see. It's been, I think I made those in 2012.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, I have to look, but I think that we have the option to give notice more than one way. And when we started doing it, we were chucking out so many of them that we did them by mail, and that caught 80% of them or 90% or whatever. And I think we would go and personally serve the ones that were problems. And when you serve it yourself, you don't have to wait on that confirmation to come back because you know that the notice is there. The officer swears to it that he dropped the notice off. It's like being served a summons for court. So I think that would short circuit some of those timelines anyway. But I'd have to look at the ordinance.
Most of them that I'm really having any issue with are out of town.
I understand that, but what I mean is, I wouldn't expect you to serve them in Indianapolis, but I mean posting the notice at the property. And if they don't get to it, within the period of time, then we can ratchet it up. I think, but I'd have to look at the ordinance to make sure we can do that.
And I like that idea better because what he has to do is he'll put the certified mailing together, leaves it for me, I take it up to the stuff back, and it's,
I mean, if he's driving by already to look at it, it's not much more
Yeah, I
effort
mean,
to
it's-
chuck this, put the notice over there on the property.
and we've even got ones, we've got wood stakes for vacant lots where he'll staple it to the stake and
Yeah.
hammer it in the ground, cause there's nothing to post it to, so if there is an opportunity for us to short circuit some of the
Because I think that's part of the complaint, not only they, if they're waiting till the last minute, if it becomes a 10-day process instead of a 15-day process or whatever it is, that would make some difference, certainly in these months.
A lot of them, like DNR, IDM, Hamilton, Ohio, they have called a history of violation. And it's a whole nother set of rules if you fall under the history of violation.
But
I mean,
I
you
think
don't get
the problem
notice.
is, it's the definition of the violation. Even though they run afoul, I've gotta look at the ordinance, I haven't looked at it in a long time, but if they get all this time before they're technically in violation, then even though they're waiting till the very end, they've not broken the rule yet, they've not earned the ticket, so, but I need to look and see if we were just being, extra lenient, and that's become the policy, and we can tighten that up, for the problem ones, or if we're stuck with that by statute, I just don't know.
I think the notices that we use, that I assume you wrote, because they were here before I was here, actually have the option of posting conspicuously on the.
Yeah, well, and again, we were doing so many of those, and we tried to do a one-size-fits-all approach so that you had a kind of a dummy-proof notice that we were using. Like when we do unsafe building stuff, those are much more specific because seems like none of them are the same, you know, so.
Do you remember a few years back when Worthington was posting pictures of the property and who owned them in the newspaper? That got a lot of attention.
You wanna help me with that? I mean, I could probably
Hey,
do it.
everybody that read the paper jumped in their car that night and drove around to see where these was at. I mean, these people were, if you didn't get embarrassed, you was in trouble.
It'd be no different than mug shots.
Yeah, I mean, they had it in the paper and who owned it, and everybody, as soon as they got the paper, they, oh, that's where's that, you know?
So as we're talking about ordinance violations, I have talked to Judge Byer here in the last week, and I shared with him, I'll call it our crusade on junk cars. I expressed to him what Tom has done, and I said, you're gonna have some people coming to see you, that we're gonna probably write some tickets. He said, bring them, I'm ready. And I said, okay. So that leads me to Tom, do you guys have any questions for Tom? I do wanna bring up a specific ordinance question. I've asked a couple of.
You didn't tell nobody about wrecks you had. I can't believe it.
Do you wanna tell that story? It's a pretty good story.
Yeah.
So.
He had enough fun with it,
So we have two particular places in town that
Thank you.
could be subject to our junk car situation that are unique. The first one, Counselor, I probably need your thoughts on this. I know where I stand. All right, we're gonna go over to Cleveland Street off of the
That's
highway.
Butch's house.
It's not Butch's house, but, so it is right here. Now, that's the house. This empty lot right here is full of cars.
Where you at?
This is the highway. This is Cleveland Street. This is Freelandville Avenue. This is that top end of Cleveland Street.
Yeah.
That's, so,
By Paul Nolan's.
by Paul Nolan's house. So that lot is full of cars. And this gentleman here runs a business of some kind that works on cars. Now, they're all turned around where I can't see the plates. Here comes the problem. So if I go over here to land classifications and click on zoning, that is zoned commercial. So I'm concerned, I think, in my opinion, based on what I see, I believe that those cars violate our ordinance on junk, because junk classifies cars that aren't on license drive on the road. I'm concerned that the counter argument is gonna be, this is zone commercial, I'm doing business here.
I got something. My brother has a junk car.
Correct.
Every one of them has a license plate on.
Yes.
What's his name down there? Reynolds has junk cars and wrecked cars. I guarantee you, every one of them's got a license plate on.
Right.
Those don't have any.
Talking about these,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So, I'm of the opinion that this should be included in our, ordinance discussion. The reason I'm not talking about Junior, and the reason I'm not talking about Pat, is it's abundantly clear to me, the business they're in, they cycle the cars out, they fix them, they're plated, I got all that, that's why I'm not talking about any of that. But this is a house, and a house, and a house, and a house, and a house, it just happens to be in this commercial zone. So I guess my point is, that's number one. I'm gonna go now to number two.
All that area is commercial.
Yeah.
Well, this is on the highway, it's just
The
this.
old oil company was there, remember?
Yep, okay.
Now the one he's going to is gonna be a headache.
Yeah, this is one that's gonna get me phone calls and get me yelled at. Which is fine. This is the old Thompson Chevrolet.
That's nice.
So this, y'all know where that's at, that's the old lot.
None of it's moved in a long time.
So this is also zone commercial, as you know. I have looked at these vehicles, most of the stuff, in my opinion, has been there since I've held this office. And as you see, Forstals and Fits on, they work on stuff inside these buildings, I know that's true, because I've seen it. I get a fair number of comments from the public about, boy, that looks bad. And I don't disagree. If it was in a residential area, it's a slam dunk. But this is obviously zones C2, but I don't, in my opinion, I don't think that's a free ride. I think that these should be subject to the ordinance, but the reason I'm asking you guys is, they're gonna come visit me when we do
Well,
this.
you know, it's not a revolving junkyard or record center. Those set, they never move. That's, to me, the big difference. I mean, you know, if they revolve, if they were pulling them in, working on things around, pulling them in, but that didn't happen.
Right.
That's a storage.
Yeah.
Do they have a business there?
Here's what I can speak to personally. I can't tell you, if they have a defined business, I can't speak to that. What I can tell you is that they own these two pieces right here. That was the garage at Thompson Chevrolet.
What's the name?
As far as business name,
Is it a business?
it is owned by it's just in their personal name.
That's what I thought.
So I have actually been in it before. I've seen they've used the lifts and they've worked on cars, restore stuff. So that's the rub a little bit. And I bring that up to kind of tell you guys that I'm looking at doing this, but I'd kind of like to know that if I walk this road and Tom walks this road with me, that you guys are gonna kind of be there to say, hey, we understand, and this is, we agree with where this is at. And I've also talked to Judge Byer, who said, I agree. So I kind of like for all of us to be singing the same song before I open this can.
I agree.
Well, my point is, I agree with all you said, and that is an eyesore, and we need to get it done. But where does it fall in either state or our ordinances?
So our ordinance says, it's in our trash.
Ours doesn't differentiate between, like even Junior Mullins can't have his place looking like Bauman off there.
It's fenced in and.
Yeah, that's right. And some of that we have some discretion about. I don't believe the ordinance makes a difference between a residential property and a commercial
It
property.
doesn't, but I still wanna bring it up.
And if they move,
But see, my point is,
Well-
when we count on that, what's the law behind us?
Again, as long as it fits the ordinance that we're using, and I think it probably does.
Now, if it does, I mean, that's what I'm saying, we can, Tom
You know,
or
but
Thomas can go and say, here, this is the ordinance, this is where you're in violation, bang.
So this is ordinance 22 of 12. Trash includes, but it's not limited to, automobiles that are mechanically inoperable or not licensed to travel on the highways of Indiana.
Covers it. Okay, that's good, that was my question. So yes, you guys have.
Boy Genius wrote that 13 years ago.
You know, one car's out, you got here, that was treated.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, Molly, that's, wow, okay. So I just wanna know if I walk this road that you guys, one, know about it and.
and the guy you're gonna pass over will make the most nasty comments against you.
I got it. That's just part of the course. So, okay. So I wanted you guys to have that kind of in your hat, as far as things that are out there, so. All right, I'll talk about, since Sprague's on vacation, so I'll talk about, East Fourth, South Main. South Main, they've got the boxes and stuff in, they are string lining for the curves. They expect JBI to be putting in curves maybe end of the week, first of next down here. Then they're gonna be moving over here to, do the, undercut work. We'll get into the detail in that in a second. Then they'll be setting that up for JBI to run their strings to put their curling over here. I talked at length with, Corey and John after we had our discussion about the undercuts. Kearns reran their numbers and concluded that they felt that they could get what we needed for that undercut section inside the 40,000 that we talked about, so the 80,000 isn't in play now. And so I think the amount that we approved is gonna get what we wanted. We also figured out that when we let it dry out, that helped a bunch. I feel pretty good moving forward with where we are. If you go down there now on the far end of West Fourth, you'll see piles and piles and piles of rock that will eventually be spread in that undercut area from Mountain Vaught to Dam Boulevard to do some of that base work that they've been talking about. So I talked to Corey today. I feel pretty good with where it's at. I don't have really any complaints. In light of how unpleasant it sounded at the last meeting, I feel pretty good now. Kearns have been working every day this week and last week, so I think they cut out maybe early yesterday or Friday because it poured rain on. They still think that they will get Main Street by the Friday before Labor Day. They still feel pretty good about that. And based on what I'm seeing, so do I. So, all good stuff. While we're talking about,
Do we have a contingent on this one where if they don't, they're gonna get fined?
so our contract date for South Main is August 29th. Liquidated damages, $1,000 a day. Now, what will probably happen is I think they're gonna get there.
Good. I mean, we're hoping that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get there, but having said that, what the counter argument's gonna be, they're gonna have some, they're gonna say rain days, and they've got some. I'm not gonna argue that. They still think they're gonna make it, but one thing they may not have done on South Main before the parade, they may not have the manholes raised, which won't mean very much, because if you walk down, it'll be just a circle about this big where the manhole is. They're gonna come in and cut it later and raise it, like, you won't notice it.
That's no issue.
So, and East Fourth is Halloween, so then it's still $1,000 a day after that, but they will claim a lot of rain days on that, and it'll be hard for me to argue about. But we're keeping track downstairs on, when we had these discussions in the past where there was debate on contract days, we started keeping a calendar every time that we've got a contractor on. And I tell the girls, hey, they're working day, hey, they're not, hey, it rains, just so if that discussion comes up, then we have something to argue from. Board of Works today, a couple things. We are moving forward with demolition of 511 New Jersey Street, unsafe structure deemed unfit for human habitation by the Board of Health. Rod and I went and looked at that. It's grown up in weeds and full of junk, and Board of Health determined it was full of rodents and bugs and all kinds of other things. We approved the demolition of the old Wilkie's gas station today as unsafe structure. I concluded when I posted the notice on the window that the roof has failed, despite my preferences. The awning's trying to fall off, the windows are busted out, the door's wide open, and the owner has stopped answering our mail.
Oh, okay.
So,
Alright.
we will not be bothering the concrete because of all the chemical concerns that IDIM's talked about. And we also approved the demolition of a house at the very dead end of West 3rd Street, just before you go into the field. When you go up the hill, there's a house that's about to fall down up there, kind of hidden in the back corner.
You might tell them Wilkie's is above ground. The demolition.
That's right, I did. Yeah, we're not touching the concrete, so we're just, the building's going and that's it.
Who owns that?
Some guy in Vincennes, he probably should have never had it.
Did Carol sell it?
It's had 2 different owners since her.
Oh.
The guy that has it now offered it to me, and I said, I know what's going on here. I know who's looked at it. I said, this is one I can't take because of the chlorinated solvent questions that IDIM has had floating around that property for the last 10 years. So, or else I just take it, we flatten it, own it, move on. But this is not one that I can safely say it's a good idea for us to have.
Who owns the brick building across the street?
Church.
Yeah, I think it's where my church.
Still word lock still on it?
The old coal building.
So if they void from doing anything, I mean, the roof's falling in,
front that's like the panels peeled back? I mean, like, is there other roof damage that
Oh,
I don't know
raccoon
about?
crawl in
Or
out
haven't
the window.
seen, or?
I thought last year or so, they had a big cleanup day to get most of it out of there, 'cause they knew.
No, they had a big sellout. Paul Memory bought most of it. They didn't do any work.
Gotcha.
They just sold stuff, took the money as usual.
Question for you. For you, is it saleable? The building?
The back garage, you know where they used to work on floats?
Yeah,
Uh,
we
that-
just had that, I mean,
That,
that's it.
yeah, that's actually saleable. I mean, you'd have to close up this end, but it is really a pretty nice building back there, but the front where the restaurant stuff is, I don't think you got enough money to fix that.
I just carry some out of, cause I can't tell here, this picture's 2024, there's a little bit of what looks to be roof damage there, but I don't wanna say that.
It's bad there, but the back part, I don't know what you use it for, unless somebody wants storage, I mean, you'd have to pay to close it up once the first part of the building's gone, but it's a sturdy building back there. My renter doesn't want it down.
Probably good shade, probably good for shade, isn't it?
I can't imagine, I mean, raccoons, stuff, up and down through there.
Cause your house is right up against it.
Yes.
Yeah, about 3 feet.
All right, that was all the update news, so first item of business, new business, ordinance 71/2025. As you discussed at the last meeting, we had talked about, rate increase of 5% on water only, this ordinance reflects that. So pursuant to the statute, we have to introduce this ordinance first, and then we have to have a hearing next month, so today is not the hearing, we've not given notice for it. The numbers you see there, are reflected, I'll give you the ones that's the easiest for metered per month, that's per 1,000 gallons. First 30,000 gallons, $8.15, that's per 1,000. And over 30,000 goes down to $6.55. We have a break if you get on the hot water. Minimum billing for 5/8 to 3/4 inch meter would be $20.33. That's gonna hit 75 to 80% of people. Right now, it's 19, what is it, 19 what? 19, yeah, actually, one time I can't manage to remember.
I think it's 1921 or 71,
Yeah. 1 inch meter, 43.84, inch and a half, 65.85, the other ones are a lot bigger, so, just let those be. None of the other stuff down here has changed, tap charge still $7.50, and then for anything above a 3/4 inch meter, a tap charge is whatever cost of material is. So, I'll read this by title. Ordinance 71/2025, an ordinance revising rates, fees, and charges to be collected by the waterworks, and sewage works, but sewage is not a part of this, of the city of Bicknell and other matters connected thereto. So assuming you guys are still okay, I will give the appropriate notice in the newspaper. This will run in the newspaper, and then we're required by statute to send a mailed notice to anyone on city water that is not the city limits. So anybody, I checked myself, we did this the last time. So if you know anybody outside the city limits that's on city water, 2 weeks from now, say, hey, I got this thing in the mail, we have to notify them by mail of the hearing notice, because they're not in the city.
How many are there?
154.
Okay.
So it's anybody on 159 from Lynn Gas to Oaktown Road, Brocksmith Road, south of the park to the cemetery, all of Johnstown, all of Ragsdale.
Alexandria or Alexander.
That's also part of it, from the Elks out to Oaktown Road, yes, that's right. And from the fairgrounds to Star Sims's house. Also from the fairgrounds to Star Sims's house out in 67 on city water. So that's all that is for this, is just a first reading. Unless you guys have questions. Okay. Next is ordinance 7225. So I am requesting additional appropriation out of edit, $30,000 for a specific reason. And I'll just read it off here. Whereas the appropriations for the edit fund have been expended in large part because an encumbrance of $30,000 intended for the construction of the new street department building was not carried over from 24 to 25. So in 24, Johnny, you seem confused.
No, no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just
You were,
shuffling
you were
some-
shuffling, so I don't know if you
Yeah.
were found.
I second, Butch.
Motion by Butch, second by Johnny, any further discussion? Rod, you might wanna abstain from this one.
Yep.
Hmm?
Might wanna abstain from this one, because the money, some of the money we're appropriating is gonna be paid.
Okay. I understand.
Motion,
You need
second, any
5%.
further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstain, 3-0, 1 abstention with the council opponents. Just trying to.
Are you filling out your papers?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I'm in a rhythm, so I'm just keeping that good. Next, in your packet, you should have a picture of a pickup truck. Okay, so we have, naturally I don't have a picture of it on here because why does that make sense? In our inventory, we have a 2001, 2002 Chevy pickup truck that the water department uses. And it's used, Herb Hastings bought it from Thompson Chevrolet, if that tells you how long it's been. Elliot Deddy drives it around, on call as needed. It broke the other day. They got it fixed, blew the belt off of it. They fixed, street department guys took it down there, put it back together. Mike Dean comes to me and said, hey, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, I'm not in a big hurry to buy any new trucks, but I said, if you can find a steal of a deal like the street department got on that one that we bought from Jeff to replace his, I'll think about that. Cause I said, don't really want to buy anything new, because we're gonna beat it up and all that. So he said, I'll look. All right. It wasn't 2 days later, he come back with the picture that you have there. Ubelars has that. It is a 2014 Ram 1500 Tradesman that 80,000 miles on it for $13,995. We have seen it. Ubelars brought it here. Our guys drove it. Our guys who were mechanics, they said, hey, it runs good, we like it, transmission's good, not any trouble. So, I would like for you guys to consider, and it's one of those trucks that they say they've got 13 people that can have, which they.
Where you getting funds at?
That's where I'm going next. So, water depreciation, the amount that's on your report is a little off. It does not reflect bills we paid today, so water depreciation doesn't actually have as much money as on that report. So I'm suggesting to you, if you are so willing, this is ordinance 7/3/2025. It should be in your packet there. I'll get to the easy part. Ordained by the Common Council of the City of Benton, $14,000 is hereby transferred and set over from the Public Safety Lit Fund to the Rainy Day Fund. Appropriation of $14,000 in the Rainy Day Fund is authorized for the purchase of a 2014 Dodge Ram 1500 pickup truck for the water department. That is my suggestion. It will not cause us a cash problem in the water department, and there's $150,000 in public safety.
I'll make a motion to approve
We want to spend that money for years. Second on that, Mayor.
Motion by Rod, second by Johnny. Further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
What year is the
Spent
one
some
we
money.
got the park?
What?
The rainy day fund money.
That looks like a brand new, is it?
Get to 2020.
Who's gonna wax it? Well, I wanna know.
I got 3 guys on the payroll who can just.
No, they supposed to do mine tonight. He said, no, we got a meeting. Then he called and said, I told Willie.
I was just joking.
I
It's
said,
a dark car. It's a dark
He told
color.
Willie it didn't have to be the meeting.
Well, then I want to make sure you get your truck done.
Well, he didn't get it. He said tomorrow night.
Last thing, and this will probably take us a little bit, so I'm gonna talk this through. So, as you know, this is gonna be part of this ordinance 7/4/2025. We went and, I went to Mr. Sale, bought a bunch of property. Talked
Now
to-
he says we.
I.
Usually it's
who-
I.
Whoever, whatever I did, you were there, you saw it. I bought 48 pieces of Commissioner Sale property, I paid $18,000. I brought him on board to, go through all the process that is required to get the title in our name, which, Counselor, if you would, could you explain how we got, all these, your billing that's in my hand, we're gonna talk, we're gonna pretty much, could you explain kind of what the process you did, or what all that entails?
All right, so if you don't follow the guidelines for, determining who has a property interest in the property, giving them notice, even if you do everything else right, will not get the tax deed for the commissioner certificates that the mayor bought. So the first step is to determine who has a property interest. So that is not just the owner, that's also anyone, if they bought it on contract or sold it on contract, it's that person. It's also anyone that has a judgment against them, whether that's a mortgage holder or a lien holder, like the city of Bicknell having a sewer or demolition lien, or also, very often, Good Samaritan Hospital has an outstanding judgment against the person. So I have to make a list of all these things for each of those properties. And then I have to create this notice that meets the statutory requirements. And then I have to send all that stuff, send that notice of the sale via certified mail to those. So those 48 properties created, I don't know, just over 100, I think, individual notices that had to be, like I said, each one is different and each one has to be sent. And a couple of them I learned that for instance, the person that owned it is deceased, and so I have to go into the estate and see who is managing the estate, send the proper notice that way. So it's, it's time consuming, and there's 48 of them, so that's where it comes from. I quoted him what I thought it would cost when he talked to me about it in February or March. We're still south of that number. There's still more work to do too, but what I would call the hard part is researching all those people to make sure your list is complete. Because again, if you miss somebody, if you handle the notice wrong, you don't get the property. And if you miss somebody and they come after you and and they want the property, then they have a valid reason to object and keep you from getting the property as well.
And you said you've had a couple of lenders come out, contact you?
Yeah, so I've been doing these for years, never this quantity at one time, but typically you never hear from the people. Good Samaritan Hospital is, let's pretend they're owed $500 or something on one of these properties. They typically don't reach out. I mean, the law is set up to protect a valuable property that someone that, let's say the property's worth $1 million and the hospital's owed $5,000. Well, the hospital has an interest in reaching in and grabbing that property and getting made whole. But typically, these properties are not worth that much, and the people that are owed the money kind of look at it as, well, I'm just going to write this off. But a few of these have out-of-state mortgages, and they're not real tuned in to I think probably the current status of the property, and they may not even realize that the house that they loaned the money on is no longer there because it's been demolished. And so I've gotten some calls about, well, we may want to protect our interest, and I say, well, okay, you've got till the end of the month to do it. So
to give you an idea, we had liens on a bunch of these, so he had to give us notice. These are the notices that we got as part of it, just for ones that we had liens on. So just kind of, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 10 of them there.
So you're basically buying these properties so you can tear them down?
Most of them are already vacant. That's a little, I know there's some people have a little bit of a rub on that. A lot of these, if you were to look at them on this list, they're vacant lots. And for me, the whole idea is simply, one, nobody's paying taxes on them anyway. Nobody else was, with some exception. There were some people fighting to get the sale. There were some. It's to add to the kind of the building site inventory. There are a few that have some prop houses on them. I've been approached by a few people who are interested already. When you saw one of them last month that was here, there's one across the street from that somebody's interested in it. There's one with a house on it that needs to be tore down on Noble Street that the neighbor who was going to go to the sale and didn't buy it because he forgot about the sale, and Brian Myers who was. We bought it. I told him, I said, look, if you want this, I said, when we get done, I said, you give me what I got in it, you can have it.
So is these two different bills?
Yes,
They are.
one was last month.
So is those two residences down there being built
So
behind
this
Fair Street?
one's a
Are
bill
those
I've already
spoken
seen.
for?
Not that I know of.
It was given to us a day after. You saw it at the council meeting last month, yes, but it didn't get to us for the Board of Works.
I
to
mistakenly
take.
told him when the Board of Works meeting was, and that's why he sent it a day later.
Okay.
So,
Which was my fault, cause I told him it was one day, and he's.
I was trying to add one I seen last council to it.
no.
No. So here's what I'm asking. I have expended the line items that we have for additional payment to him for all other services. I've also expended the line item for Board of Works other. So essentially what I'm asking for, and this is a little flexible. This ordinance would authorize $40,000 out of industrial rental for this. There's about $39,000 right here. That was what I picked. There's a couple other ideas out there. We could use, the building repair fund out of general, which has got quite a bit of money in it. You could split it if you want to. But I kicked those ideas around. I know that the one thing I don't know if I should apologize for it or not, but I know that, I mean, he told me what he thought it was gonna cost, and he is below that. We did go, I do wanna say for the record that when we went to the sale, I did have to all but have a knife fight with a few people over some of them that fight people from out of town that shouldn't have them. The other thing I wanna say, and I may have mentioned this at a previous meeting, we approached the county commissioners about giving us priority over these certificates. They have statutory authority to give us priority, not have to go to the sale, because it saved me $18,000. I approached Commissioner Streeter about that fact, and she was in support. I could not get the support of the other two county
I
commissioners.
bet that's true.
And, Michael and I had spoken to the county attorney, and that fell flat on his face.
Why not? What's the,
If you can explain that to me, I would be glad to listen.
I'll explain it afterwards,
I got an
my
idea.
opinion.
Most majority is Kelly Streeter's name came up.
Yeah.
So they wanna go.
Because I feel like, and I'll tell you how that went, Butch. I had talked to both her and the county attorney.
I think it's important to note that the county attorney advised those guys to not do that, right? Like, to not do it the way we've done in the past.
Well, I think that's true, but I think that with the way he first talked to me, when I first talked to him after an RDC meeting, he said, send me a list and we can, he said to my face, what they would do is they would give.
I understand that, and that's not what happened.
I know that's not what happened,
But
but they would give us lien priority and we wouldn't have to go to the sale, but they didn't even do that. So in the past, when there was another attorney representing the county, they transfer them directly to us. The current county attorney says they can't do that, which is fine.
But that's not what the statute says.
Right. So anyway, he acted like that they could, if I gave them a list, they could act and give us priority, we wouldn't have to go to sale and bid on and spend this money. None of that happened. I'm telling you that, so to indicate that there was an opportunity for us not to spend $18,000, we had to, if we wanted them. And to keep other people from having them to build houses on. I wanted you to know that, so it's not like I went down and spent $18,000 for funsies.
But the other part of it is that in the past, I think you typically gave the lots away for nothing. And, I mean, if you wanna keep doing that, that's the city's prerogative, but charging someone $1,000 or $2,000 for a lot that they're gonna put a house on is not gonna be a showstopper for that person. And that would get you mostly whole on, but anyway, that's down the road, we're not there yet.
I just wanted you guys to know have all those facts in your locket, as we talk about this, so. I'll wait for Rodney to return, because I think his daughter is coming up the stairs.
So Mayor, how many properties are you, that have buildings on them right now, are you tearing down?
That I bought right here,
Yeah.
I think there's 3.
None that's approved yet.
Yeah, like we don't have ownership, I know why you're asking.
Yeah, just about what we talked about.
Yeah, no, I don't have ownership of any, and I don't know that I would want anybody in them.
Okay.
Just because they're not, quite frankly, they're not, nobody should be in them. I know why you.
Yeah, well, we were basically just gonna blow them up, but.
Yeah.
I know a guy you should talk to.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we were needing some, not needing, we were wanting to, he wanted us to ask our town board people
facts.
I had to clear a path yesterday from the alley to the gas meter and the alley to the electric meter because the utility companies wouldn't go through the yard.
And that one's here in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. I mean, when they shut the water off, they just shit in plastic bags, tie them up, throw them out in the backyard.
Ah.
And you know how many places he's been in the last 3 years?
Mhm.
Most people won't walk in, they got the rats sitting on the couch with them kicked back.
I'm okay with spiders, rats, and mice, snakes.
I do,
No,
yes.
no.
Yes.
And Rod's talking about 511 New Jersey in case
I love
anybody's
kids.
curious. So,
But you're saying on here, Michael, you know, I hate paying attorneys because I never see anything they get out of it. But all of them say begin drafting notice, so.
Well, I'll tell you, the notices have all been sent, but, so I begin drafting them, and then once I have them all done, I look them over and make sure I didn't make a mistake, or, for instance, some of them.
So what do you got to come yet? That's where I'm at.
So what's left is, the petitions have to be created and mailed out.
But
and,
you sent out the notices, right?
The notices are out.
That's on the second bill. The first one is Rod. The first one is the drafting. The second bill is he sent those out.
and part of that second bill has the $900 in postage that he incurred on our behalf. To send the notice.
There'll be that much postage.
Mhm.
I've gotta send petitions to all those,
Then you gotta type up one to have the judge sign.
that's the petition. Well, and then they usually handle the order. The bulk of the money is spent, so with the petition, you understand, I don't have to research that. I've got, with what I've got, with the research I've done, I have the notice, so, the petition has pieces of that notice are in there. I've gotta go through each notice and grab the pieces, but I don't have to go figure out who they owe money to or any of that stuff. So, the petitions will go faster than what the notices did, because you have to do all those title searches for every one of those notices. That work is done.
I know. Well, to defend Thomas, I'll tell you that I pushed him from before he got in the office to do this. Because we let the wrong people get them, if time just goes on. And I don't know who was in the city, I really don't care. But one day I stood right out here with the rest of them, and there was barricades here, there was barricades at Old Lady, there was barricades at the bank, and barricades at the Trestlers. And this table was sitting on the burnt building money at that time. And I took my money, went to the courthouse and bought them, I took my money and tore them all down. And then John Flickinger said, we're working on cleaning up downtown. And this table and the mayor sat here for those years and did nothing. The town looked horrible, I got tired of listening to people. So I done it, and I've done it all over my end of town, so I pushed him to do it all over town, and this is what you get. I've gotten bit more than once, I think I got bit down there that day, since I bought the cafe up in Freedomville, but I was just going after those guys from Indianapolis, I don't like those people. And, he's over there going, you know you bought that cafe up,
You also bid against me once, so you cost the city $100.
I mean, and
But I
we
mean,
haven't
he-
given this a
he-
lot of fanfare, but this is the biggest real estate improvement action we've taken since the blight elimination stuff.
But I agree with you, that it's time to quit giving them away.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought I heard you say a couple $1,000 to the carpenter's not gonna change the deal. We gotta start getting a little bit back and putting it back so we can keep doing it.
It was easy for us to say on the blight elimination property, it was easy to say, well, you can have them because we had federal money in it and it wasn't a big deal. And as I've had people approach me, and I've had, because it's kind of common knowledge now, we give lots away for houses. And as I've told people, I said, we've got a set that are probably still quote unquote free. But I said, this next set that we've got, I said, we're gonna have to see some money. I've got so much in it.
The other big difference is blight elimination, that money, some of those people didn't have to give those houses up.
They sold them.
That's
That's
right.
true.
They sold them.
That's true.
And so we were able to use that money to get a hold of them that way. It was, and it was more money, but it was somebody else's, it didn't cost the city.
You remember when you was scared to buy two of those big liens, so I
Right.
bought them? Then you said, oh, we can't do that, one of them. I still mow that.
But we got several of them, we got German American, the hospital, several people dropped liens so that we could work with those. But they also, they not only paid the landowner, but Blind Elimination paid me to do it also. So this is different than that because, you gotta use your own money to.
It is absolutely the right thing to do, but it's too bad that it costs what it does.
And
And his bill is one thing, but those people down there that run me and you up, I mean, the lot that I had was in the middle of 12 lots they couldn't get to. They only had one single reason for bidding on that, and that was to come back to me 6 months after they never mowed it and say, hey, you wanna pay $2,500 for it? The only, and I don't know why there can't be a rule, you can't do that if you don't have a plan for the property or you live in the county. It's just ridiculous that somebody can come in and do this.
so this list here, this is the sale list.
Yeah.
Amber was there with us and I said, hey, I need to bid on these. I can't write this down fast enough, so she's standing next to me and on the first run, I paid $600, which was too much. Then I paid $7, and then I paid $3, and then I paid $100, then I paid $900. When I won at $900, it was some of those idiots that bidding against me. I was like, and when I finally got it, I go, because I already knew where I was at, and that's how the whole thing was gonna go. There's some of these I got for $100, but I got.
What did you pay for the one on Ohio Street?
I paid $2,000.
It's this wide.
But somebody from out of town was gonna get it.
But if it's a pay me now or pay me later, because if you let those get away for the next
Oh, yeah.
20 years, you're gonna be chasing them, mowing them, fighting with those people, and.
As I said, it's the right thing to do. It's just a shame what it costs.
There's 5,000, but there's probably $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 too much on this sheet that those people stole from us.
Yeah.
Cause I bought, and the ones that I paid too much for, there's like a half a block in Maplewood that's full of trees. That lot on Ohio Street. There was one on, Kicksmiller that I paid $1,000 for. There was one next to Dave Cullivan, I paid $1,800 for that. Like, why?
After I told you I agreed with you, I gotta tell these guys though. Amber, he looked a little bit like him at the auction though, didn't he? What? I mean, he did. You ought to see him. He did, oh, you ain't getting it. Remind me of him.
Been there, done that.
And there was a
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, before I make the motion, and Michael can correct me, I've got a figure right now, we've got about $812 per unit of your money, just so
Oh,
people
no.
know that. For the hours that you've turned in for the 48 properties.
For that one bill, I don't know.
It's 40,048 properties.
But we're not done yet.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying right now.
There's
So
no-
I'm just gonna brag on you people.
Well, I mean,
You
the
know.
previous bill has
Yeah.
got some on there too, so
Yeah.
it's a touch more than that, but
Yeah,
it.
but I'm saying that's.
It's
if
still,
you go
it's still a
anyplace-
discount.
Yeah,
It's still
I'm getting, that's where I'm driving to.
What is the
If we
number?
went anywhere else and
I don't
talked to
know,
any
but
other
as Michael
places,
said, the
we
prior
would be
bill
paying a
had a
whole lot
bunch of
more.
them on
So I
there also,
appreciate your
so-
time,
Which
effort,
I
and
turned a
what
lot of
you're charging.
paperwork into.
So in my thinking,
Quite
that's
a few
fair,
paperwork into
fair
the
deal,
county
so I
because
move that we,
possible ones that might redeem them,
I
and
guess
they've
I'm
been
not
over
talking to
$1,000.
everyone.
Yeah, and the other thing that, and Amber kind of alluded to it there,
It's over
the redemption period ends at the end of the month.
Oh, yeah.
There've been a few properties that we've kind of thought could be redeemed based on some conversations we've had and people who kind of sniffed around. So if a few get redeemed, those will come off and we'll get reimbursed some of his fee from the people who have to redeem it, plus taxes we paid already.
You don't get near all his fees.
No, we won't get it all, no.
I've been.
No, you get up to $500 back.
Yeah. Michael, have you ever bought one from the commissioner's sale that somebody lives in? They
Yeah.
still haven't redeemed it.
Right, no, I get it.
So it's
We
probably.
have one of those right now, don't we?
We have two of them. That I don't, one of them I knew what I was doing, the other one I wasn't real sure. But they've got their notice, so that will come in due
I
time.
mean, since I have worked for the city, I've chased these Almy ghosts down for 30 years. These two people have been gone for 30 years. Their name is all over stuff that I've done for the
Monroe
city.
City, Decker.
Yeah,
They're everywhere.
they own
I don't
all
know how
kinds
many he
of,
owned, but it's
they've been
crazy.
gone gone since before I got my driver's license. They've been gone a long time.
Yeah. But, what happens when they live there?
Well, they lose whenever the title finally vests, whenever the judge signs that tax deed, whoever the new owner is, I mean, I guess you would have to go evict them like you would any other squatter.
You know which one this is, don't you?
Yes. We may have one or two of those.
And Bill
Well,
Bill
because
Campbell absolutely wants me to evict them.
Keep your checkbook ready, I don't know what to say.
Any other questions?
No, go ahead, Wally, you gonna make a motion.
I forgot what I was putting, I was just trying to say that I think it's, I appreciate what the mayor's done, what the lawyer's done, and I think we should, go forward with it, knowing all well that it's not quite completed, but I have all the faith in the world that it will be completed. So I move that we pay right at 40, whatever.
I made it, it's not equal 40, but I made 40
Right
easy
at
for.
40 or 41 something,
So you're gonna approve ordinance 74/2025?
yes.
I'll second.
Motion, second, any discussion? Seeing none, those favors say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. 4-0.
Thomas, can I get a copy of that list that you got? Is, what is it,
This?
48 properties you said?
Yeah, I'll just give you the sale list, that'll be the ones
You
that.
wanna email it to me?
We'll scan it and email it to you. And the ones that have numbers next to them, we bought, and like, if there are two properties with the same name, they sold them together. So if there's one number across it, you'll see, yeah, I can get that to you. I think, if I have any idea where my agenda is. Talked about 4th Street. Don Like is still trying to get his stuff figured out on the building on South Main. I have not heard any more from the Carters on their property. I think the one half of the ownership, the brother, is not well. And I think that's all I have. And we haven't made it to 8 o'clock yet, so.
Hurry up, John.
Well,
Sorry.
You're
was listening.
the one who moves to adjourn. What's that? I'm correct.
I'm
you're
done.
all done, then I'll move to adjourn again.
Motions are second.
Listen,
Don't
Tommy,
give me a second, I'll say
All
that
right.
every time.
you know, everybody's pushing you to be Ed Mason is what it
Well,
is.
just about.
Ed always made a motion to adjourn.
I saw Ed just this evening, he's out of Nicole's